All right. That down there. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Looks like we've got a fair amount of people logged in. Awesome. Welcome to today's webinar on how to help simplify disclosures using your free member benefit tool, Glide, Glide. So just real quickly, couple of things. One, I'm your host, Anthony. I work here at Orange County Realtors. I've been here now for a little over 17 years, started off in the MLS department. So I want to thank everybody for attending today's webinar. I know guaranteed I'll speak to everybody regarding rules, regulations, violations, things like that. What I'm also involved with is our outreach program. Our outreach program is designed to give you various trainings on all of your tools and products. So not only do I train on MLS, how to run searches, how to modify listings, create CMAs, fun things like that. But I also train on zip forms. So how to put together your transactions electronically, to digitally signing them, to some of your advanced tools and features in zip forms. But I also train on technology, like using your mobile tablet devices for making you more efficient out there in the field. Now, what we're going to go over today is your free member benefit offered to you by CRMLS CAR called Glide. Now, what this tool allows us to do is to be able to send out a disclosures request to our clients for them to fill out disclosures quickly and easily. Now, I know that we have a scheduled time frame of about an hour today, but you'll be amazed on how simple this tool is going to be in helping your clients fill out disclosures. So what we're going to go over today is how to set up Glide, activate your free account, merge it with your Zip Forms account, and of course we're going to send out a request to fill out a disclosure. Okay? Because there are certain times where you as an agent aren't able to fill out certain disclosures, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Are there any questions before we get started? Excuse me here. I got to wet my whistle a little bit. My throat's a little dry. All right, so what we're going to do is, or our scenarios are as follows. Maybe we're a listing agent on a property, and after we take the listing agreement, as you all know, that the seller or sellers have to fill out certain disclosures, but there are certain disclosures that you as an agent aren't able to actually fill in for the client. Specifically, disclosures like the TDS and the SPQ. Now, the TDS stands for the Real Estate Transfer Disclosure Statement. The SPQ stands for the Seller Property Questionnaire. Now, these forms are technically supposed to be filled in by the sellers. So here we have the example that we can fill in the property address, but you'll notice that there are areas of the form totally grayed out, whereby I am not able to fill in this form. Why is that? Because if I'm not the seller of the property, how would I know what needs to be disclosed? So forms like the TDS and the SPQ are meant for the seller to fill in. So how do we get them to fill these in? Well, we can go the old school method. The old school method being we can email this document as a PDF file to the client, whereby the client can then receive the email as a PDF document to print out, fill out, scan, and then email it back to us. To which at that point, what happens? Maybe we have to decipher chicken scratch, right? Maybe their writing is so small it's hard for us to read. Or maybe that client marked the box, then scratched through it, then marked it again to scratch through it again to initial it, right? Where we've got to get them to redo it over again, right? Now that's the old school method. The newer method, or a more convenient method, is to send the document out through e-sign, whether it's DocuSign or Digital Link. DocuSign or Digital Link will allow seller one, whoever that is, whoever we designate, to be able to fill in this document at the same time that they sign and initial the document. But here's a problem. What happens if the client fills in something incorrectly? Like they forgot to mark that the property has a pool or has a water heater, and they forgot to mark that it's a gas water heater or things like that. What do I now have to do? I have to then resend it out for e-signatures again for them to refill in the answers. But then what happens? Maybe they accidentally change some of their answers. Like this time, as they marked the water heater, they didn't mark that the property had a dishwasher, whereas in their first edit, they did. Now I've got to resend it for them to try to fill it out correctly again. So e-signing, even though it's convenient and everything's nice and neatly typed in, and they are signing it at the same time, they have to now refill it in 2 or 3 extra times to fill it in correctly. This is where a product called Glide is going to help. 2 reasons why Glide is going to be convenient. Number 1, this is going to allow the document to be pre-filled in, or not pre-filled in, filled in by the seller directly into the transaction, whereby I get to review the document before I send it out for signatures. So that's one convenience. The second convenience is this. Usually when the seller or sellers receive this document, their number one complaint is they feel overwhelmed. They look at this document and all they see are boxes for them to fill in, and they immediately begin to shut down. What Glide does is it now sends out this document, and what happens is the client then slowly goes through the document and is asked every section to fill in. So it cuts down a lot of being overwhelmed. And you'll be pleasantly surprised on the seller's responses to filling out and using Glide to fill in these disclosures. So they now are lessened in their stress to fill out this document. It's going to be really easy and simple. Not to mention there's a very easy communication tool that if they have a question about something, they can flag it. And Glide will send us an email notification that our client has a question on that we can immediately give them a call and answer their question. So how do I utilize Glide for my zip forms? Very easy. We have to first sign up for an account. To sign up for an account with Glide, we're just going to simply go to the internet and we're going to type in www.glide, G-L-I-D, as in David, E as in elephant.com. From here, we're going to be taken to their website. Now we're going to immediately go over to where it says pricing. Now, because this is a member benefit, this is offered to you absolutely free as a member. Okay? So what you want to do to activate your free member benefit is come over here to where it says basic free for members and for realtors. You're going to then click get started. When we click on get started, we're then going to create an account. We're going to put in our first name, our last name, our email address, create a password. Then we're going to hit sign up. Okay. Now, once we hit sign up, I'm going to put in my account information here. I think it's that one. The first thing that we're going to do is come over here to the top right corner and click on our initials. And now we're going to go to where it says account settings. From here, we got to fill in some basic information. Okay, upload a photo of yourself. Click on upload a photo, browse your computer for an updated photo of yourself for your profile. Hit save. Upload. From here, make sure your first name, your last name is spelled correctly. Come down below, even put in your phone number. Put in your DRE license number. Upload your company logo. Okay. Put in your company information. maybe even put in your own personal website. From here, as you scroll right on down, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to merge our zip forms with Glide. Now, the benefit of this is that if we merge our zip forms with Glide, because this is a free member benefit to you, anytime I create a transaction for my seller or my landlord, where these disclosures have to be used to be filled in, I can now have the seller, when the request is sent out through Glide, those disclosures are now immediately uploaded and filled in my zip forms transaction. Okay, and I'm going to show you how easy that is. Now, at this point, what you're going to do is you're going to come over to where it says Zip Forms Plus Integration, and you're going to link your account. From here, you're going to mark that you're a CAR member. You're going to follow the easy step process. You're going to connect your zip forms. You're going to put in your zip form account information. And you should hit continue. From here, it should give you this information that it's now been established, and you should be able to continue on. Now, I will tell you, I have run into this problem about 75% of the time, whereby the account refuses to link through this method. Okay? Now, that's okay. If you do run into an issue where the integration isn't working through Glide, that's okay. As long as you've created your Glide account, then what you can do is go through zip forms to link your account. How you go through zip forms to link your account? Very easy. We're going to log into our zip forms. So if in Glide, the linking of the account doesn't work, come into zip forms and link the account this way. Okay? This will work about 90% of the time. When you log into zip forms, on the dark blue bar where it says transactions, you're going to come over to where it says partners. When you click on partners, the partners section basically indicates all the third-party member benefits offered to you by CAR. What you're then going to do, sorry about that, is click on over here to the left-hand side, Other Tools. From here, this will display all the third-party member benefits offered. You're going to scroll right on down to where it says Glide. From here, you're going to click on Link Account. When you click on Link Account, this will then ask you for your Glide account information. When you click on that, or when you input that information, it's then going to tell you success. So now, after you've linked your Glide account with your zip forms account, you are now ready to send out disclosure requests using Glide. So again, this is going to really work if you're representing a seller or a landlord on a property. Okay, whether it's commercial or in this case residential, just because you've got access to the TDS and the SPQ. Okay, but again, without having to be in the transaction itself, where I have to either email the document or request the digital signing because I want the client to fill it out and I want to review it. I'm now going to simply come over back into Glide. And when I go into Glide this time, under my transactions or under the forms, I'm going to come down below to the right-hand side and click on New Transaction. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, does anybody have any questions on how to merge the Glide account with your zip forms account? And are there any other questions so far? None? Looks pretty simple, right? Okay. All right. So I'm now representing a seller on a property. I need the seller, after I've gotten the signed listing agreement done, I now need to get the seller to fill out disclosures. So I want them to fill it out very quickly and easily. I want a chance to review the documents before I send it out for signatures. So I'm going to come into Glide. Whether it's at the Transactions or the Forms tab, I'm just going to simply come over here towards the right-hand side and click on New Transaction. When I do that, we're going to see that my Zip Forms transactions have been linked. Down below, I can see all my current listing transactions in my Zip Forms. I'm going to find the transaction that I want my client to fill out disclosures for. So I'm now going to say 25 Bridgewood. It's going to double check to make sure that I chose the right transaction. I'm going to say yes. From here, what stage is my transaction? Well, it's currently active. I'm the listing agent on the property. From here, I'm going to scroll down under the disclosure package, and I'm now going to choose which disclosure package I want to do. So in this case, I'm going to request the seller's disclosures, and I'm going to start this. Now I'm going to follow a couple of questions here, or a couple of methods. You'll notice here we're at 0% right now to send it out. So what forms do I want the client to fill in? You'll notice here that it defaults to the TDS and the SPQ. Okay. If there were other documents I needed the client to fill in, because there are other forms in Zip Forms that only the sellers or landlords can fill in. If I choose down below here under step 3, I can add another document. Now, Glide doesn't have every form in Zip Forms, only because a majority of those forms need to be filled out by me, their agent, but there are a few exceptions to this rule, one of which is the coronavirus addendum that was just recently added. We can also do the seller exempt disclosure, the lead-based paint, the PSD, the parking and storage disclosure, the residential earthquake hazard report, the HOA disclosures, number 1 and number 2, the Santa Clarita Valley area disclosure, seller vacant land questionnaire, the property document collection, and of course, the seller's manufactured mobile home community disclosure. So there are a few extra disclosures that we can add to get the seller to fill in. Now, for demo purposes, I'm just going to take away one of these documents just to show you how easy it is for a client to fill out, say, the TDS. Now we're going to hit continue. Next, it's going to ask me, do I have any other documents that I want to accompany with this request? So do I have an attached, or do I want to attach an avid that I've already pre-done for the seller to review? Or do I have no other items for a disclosure? Or do I have other items that I need to note? In this case, nope, no items for any other disclosure. By the way, am I aware of the property being in an HOA? Yes, no, or I don't know. In this case, no, the property is not in an HOA, as an example. Here it defaults with the property type based on what's written on the contracts. From here, we can hit continue. Now this is where we're going to have a lot of fun. Right away, I'm the admin of this session. I'm their agent. I'm in control whether I can cancel this or resend it. Down below, we notice that seller 1 and seller 2 both have the capability of filling out the disclosure. Now this is where a lot of questions come in. Does this mean that seller 1 and seller 2 can fill out the disclosure? And the answer is yes, but they cannot fill it out at the same time. So whoever is currently editing the document is going to edit the document before the other person. The other person can't edit it while one person is currently editing. But say, as an example, Bob gets the disclosure first. He fills it in. Then Janice goes in. She goes to fill in the document. She changes Bob's answers. Because Janice was the last person to go into the document, she can overwrite what Bob has done. So just know that, yes, I can give both sellers the opportunity to fill out the disclosure or disclosures, but know that one could very easily overwrite the other person. Okay. Now, I can also add in another seller. So in certain cases, maybe there's a third party or a fourth. I can keep adding in as many people as possible. Now, do I give them the opportunity to fill out the forms? Because can you imagine 5 different sellers who own the property, each one changing one document? This is where it's really important for you as an agent to allow only one person to fill in the document. Okay. Now, maybe Bob says, you know what, I want to fill out the document. Janice tells you over the phone or sends you an email, I don't mind my husband filling in the document, but I want to review what my husband writes down. Not a problem. What I can do is, instead of taking her out of the loop, I can include her, but I won't let her fill out any of the forms. She can review them, but she can't make any changes. Only Bob can make the changes. Okay. So in those cases where we have more than one seller, instead of letting all 5 sellers change the disclosure, I can make one person the master changer and let the others review. Okay. So here, Bob and Janice, husband and wife, seller 1, seller 2. Seller 2 says, all right, I just want to review the documents. Or maybe, you know what, Bob goes, you know what, I'll let my wife fill out the forms. I just want to review what she's doing. Not a problem. You can do that too. You can switch. Okay. Today, what we're going to do for demo purposes, I'm going to take out the extra seller here and just let Bob fill in the document. Okay. Now down below, I'm going to hit continue. Here we go. We got a confirmation. Do I want to add in anything else? We've got a nice little typed up email already preset, ready to go. I can click in the box, type in extra stuff if I needed to, but I think pretty much this says it all. Now we can just come down below, hit send. Now when I hit send, the request has now been sent out to the client. That's how easy it is to send out a request to the client to fill out disclosures. Are there any questions on this so far? Looks pretty simple, right? Now, for the demo purposes, I'm going to log out of my account as the agent. Okay. So now the request goes out. This is what the seller will get. So let's go into my email. Imagine me now as Bob Dillon. Bob Dillon, or I as the agent give Bob a call, my client. Hey, Bob, I just sent you disclosures that I need you to fill in. You know what? I'm going to be here on the phone with you to help guide you through this entire process. So I'm going to sit here on the phone. I'm not going to say anything, but I'm here for you in case you run into any issues. Bob goes, okay, not a problem. What do I do? Okay, Bob, what I need you to do, go into your email. Bob goes into his email. This is what Bob's going to see. Bob opens up his email. He immediately sees an email from Glide. Your zip form account is no longer linked. Okay, I wonder why not. Okay. Well, that was interesting. I should have an email. Well, let's try this again just in case. See, I run into hiccups every once in a while myself. Of course, something went wrong. There we go. All right, so the request to seller's disclosures were sent. Let's just resend it again. Okay, good. So now let's go into their email. And hopefully it didn't go into my junk mail. So let's check that out. Nope, it's not in the junk. That's good. Okay, well, that's great. Well, it looks like we just had a hiccup here. Okay. So I'm wondering why it's not doing it. Okay, not a problem. Let's just redo it again. So real quickly, we're going to send this transaction. And of course, make sure I typed in the correct email address. Excellent. There we go. Excellent. So finally it went through. Awesome. So then I'm just going to log out here out of my admin account. So now this is what happens. So in 30 seconds or less after it goes out, Anthony Bried, basically me, via Glide have sent you disclosures, seller's disclosures. So Bob clicks on his disclosure or the email. Hey, Bob, as a California seller, yada, 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 via me, his agent. So let's begin with the disclosures. Now Bob goes in. Bob now needs to create an account. Okay. Now for demo purposes, we're just going to log in, but this is all free to the client. The client will create an account. They'll sign in. Let's see. So Bob gets this. It says, before we begin, this is serious business. It gives him a nice little reminder what he's about to do. Okay. So here he's going to open up his packet. From here, when he opens up his packet, he's going to scroll right on down and he's going to read through the legal consent. At this point, he's going to accept the terms. If he just declines, this is just going to stop where it's at. But real quickly, hi, Bob, you're about to begin to fill out completing forms. So let's begin. By the way, down below, what forms are going to be completed, in this case, the TDS, but if you had the SPQ here, right underneath that would be the SPQ. When he clicks on begin, you're about to fill out the transfer disclosure statement. Just so you know, Bob, there are 47 questions that you've got to answer. I know a lot of people go, whoa, 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 that's a lot of questions, right? Hold on. We're going to get there. Okay. It's not going to be as hard as what you may think, but just know that they now have an end goal. From here, he's going to click Get Started. Right away, here's an advisory. Again, accepting the terms of what the contract's all about. By the way, we're going to start with the introduction of the form itself. Okay, would you like a list of any inspections? Okay. Do you have any of these disclosures, inspections that you might have done during this entire time that you've owned the home? Now, I know a lot of people will probably say no, but remember, if you bought this property, wouldn't they have had disclosures at the time that you bought the property? Yes, no, maybe, right? So make sure that the client and this system automatically reminds them, make sure you go and grab any of those pertinent documents. So in this case, if he happens to say no, it's not a problem. We're now going to get ready to edit section A of the property items in the home. First thing it's going to ask you is the seller still occupying the property? So I know that this is one box that's always missed on that disclosure. Okay. So is the seller occupying the property? Yes, they are. That's why I'm able to fill out the TDS. Which of the following items does the property have? Now Bob can go through and click on all the necessary information on what appliances are in the property. Does he have an HVAC system? Yep, central heating and air. Sewage system, public sewer, because geez, I get a water district bill, just like it's city water. Gas supply, I pay SoCal gas. I do have a water heater that is gas. Do I have any other safety items in the house? Oh, I got smoke detectors and carbon monoxide, and or none of these. Exterior, carport, garage. Oh, I've got a garage, and oh, I don't know. I've got a set of sprinklers. Other miscellaneous items. Got a hot tub, even got a pool. And of course, any other items to note. Now we're going to continue on. So if you notice here, instead of looking at one giant form where I've got all these questions laid out in front of me, where I as the seller can be very easily overwhelmed, you'll notice here that Glide takes this disclosure and makes it an easily digestible form for the client to fill in. So because I marked that there's a garage, is the garage attached to the property? Yes or no? Yes, it is. And by the way, if you notice here down below, under the item property item section, I'm 52% filled done with this section. And I've just answered just a few questions. Does the garage have an automatic door opener? Yes. How many remotes does it have? 3. And continue down my list. Is there a locking safety cover on the hot tub? Nope. Child restraint barrier on the pool? Nope. Where's the 220 volt? The baby's room? And garage? You know, why not? What type of roof does my property have? I don't know. I've not been on the roof in a while. I think it's I don't know, clay tile. So if you'll notice here, we're just very quickly and easily filling in our questions. And by the way, it's going through each section one at a time. So hopefully the client will answer the questions correctly. Now, if for some reason Bob has a question or something, number one, I'm on the phone with Bob going through all of this. So when Bob goes, you know what, I'm not really sure the approximate age of the roof. You know, I don't want to really give a definitive answer. My first question may be, well, Bob, how long have you owned the home? Well, at least 20 years. Great, Bob. By any chance, have you ever had a roof replacement before? Nope. So you know at least the property's got a 20-year-old roof, right? Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. So here they're going to indicate that. 20 years. Approximately. So now, are there, to my best of my knowledge, is anything not working? Right? Nope. Oops, I'm sorry. Everything is in working condition. So, nope, there's nothing broken. Now we're going to talk about the defects and malfunctions of the property, and we're just going to go right through the same list. List anything or none of these. Section C, about any property issues. And of course, we're going to go right down that page 2 list. But everything is just nice and big and easy for us to read. So real quickly, I'm just going to go through this quickly and mark my answers. Additional rooms, no. Or an additional, yes. Yes, I have an additional structure, so my meth lab in the backyard. Right? Whatever needs to be disclosed. Are you aware? Nope. Settling, nope. Flooding, nope. Damage, nope. So on and so forth. And if you notice here, as we're going through the defects or the property issues, we've got a progression bar. So we can really easily, quickly fill in what we need. Now, even if I skip over a question or two, I want to show you what happens here in those circumstances. Okay. Immediately at the end here, it's going to say, wait a minute, we found that you've skipped 2 questions. You got to answer them first. Okay. So, are you aware that the CC&Rs and other Ds are obligations? So we found them. Would you like to answer them first? Yes, I need to do that. So it brings me right back to the questions that I had skipped over. Now it's going to reprocess and it's going to say, we've reviewed everything at this point. Now when we hit continue, it's now compiling this form and notifying me as their agent that this form is going to be completed. So in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it's been completed. Now we can continue on. I can contact the agent, but now I can close out. So that's how easy it is for a seller to fill out a disclosure. Are there any questions on that? Looks pretty simple, right? So now what happens with this disclosure? So, oh, we got a question here. Does the seller then sign via zip form digital ink? They can, Danielle. And let me show you. And I'm hoping this will work for me today because the last time I tried this, for some reason, it wasn't merging right. So hopefully this will work. So we're going to go back into Glide. So now I, as an agent, we're going to put our agent hat back on. So now the client goes, all right, I filled out the disclosure. Great. I can, as the agent, go into Glide, relog back into my account. And when I log into the account, I can go under the Forms section here. And that really scares me that it keeps saying something went wrong. But real quickly, I can see immediately that the request for seller disclosures for the 25 Bridgewood has now been completed. So what I can now do as the agent is this. I can click on this to open it up. And I can now either review it. So I can download it real quick. Or in this case, I'm going to review the document and see their answers. So I can preview the PDF. And I can immediately see here, hopefully, here's the disclosure. This is a preview, and I can see all their answers, all pre-filled in. Or I should say, all now filled in. Okay. So now at this point, I can generate the PDF document, print it out, have them physically sign it, or back here, if we go back just a bit, there is a choice for me to e-sign from Glide. Because I merged my my zip forms with Glide, this button now will appear and I can now send my documents out through either digital ink and or DocuSign for the client to e-sign. Now, a lot of times you as the agent aren't going to log back into Glide. So how do you see if this has been done? So the client tells me now, hey, Tony, I have filled out the disclosure or the disclosures for my transaction. Can you review it? I can be in zip forms immediately, working on other transactions. I can now bring up their transaction that I sent out the request for. When I go into the documents area and I bring up the transfer disclosure statement, we now see that the transfer disclosure statement has now been filled in. And I'm going to zoom in here so you guys can see this. This has now been filled in. Now, being in zip forms, I can officially come over to e-sign and send it out for signatures. So does that help answer your question? So now with it being sent out either through Glide or through zip forms, the client now can sign and initial this document. And now when I get it back, everything is nice and typed up. The reason why I can now do this is that I can review, see what they've said, and say, you know what, I think you might be missing a couple of things because you do have a washer and dryer in the house, right? Well, you forgot to mark that. Now the Bob can go right back in, relog back in, and refill out the disclosure. Save it, reprocess, and all this information will be then re-updated for me. So we can save a lot of time and effort not having to send the document for signatures back and forth. Does that help out a lot, Michelle? Awesome. Or Danielle? Let's see here. Danielle asks, do you recommend doing the TDS SPQ first and get it back, then go into zip forms and complete set up the rest of the disclosures to get the signatures via digital ink and together? Sure. Because technically the seller still has to fill out the disclosures, right? What we're doing is we're having them easily fill it in without feeling overwhelmed by a bazillion other documents that they have to sign, right? Can you imagine that not only do they have to fill out the TDS SPQ at time of signing, but now you're getting them to fill out the other 40 some odd other disclosures to sign? I think that would be very overwhelming. So, and of course, obviously, in looking at all that, there's definitely going to be things that are going to be missed. So send it out ahead of time so we can review it as we're putting it together, the other disclosures based on what it is that they're actually disclosing, right? Because I'm not going to do the other disclosures yet until I see this TDS and SPQ filled in, because I might need to get other disclosures based on, well, geez, there is settling and things like that, that now maybe we need to disclose there might be a geo issue, or, well, geez, they don't have fire alarms or fire smoke detectors in the property, right? We might have to fill out different things on our smoke detector disclosures, indicating for sure that they don't have those items. So I think this is going to be a really awesome tool for that. And again, I can have everything then e-signed together after I've had a quick chance to review all this. Are there any other questions? Hey, Ron, how you doing? Nice seeing you. Well, golly, if you guys are making this super easy on me, you guys have no other questions to ask about Glide? Looks like a great tool, I hope. I know that the agents that are using this tool have given a lot of positive feedback. even with a client that's not overly tech savvy, some of the older generational clients have really liked Glide because they feel that they're not overwhelmed by seeing all the questions, all the check boxes immediately. So this has been a really helpful tool for a lot of clients of all genres. Thank you very much, Danielle. Are there any other questions? Well, if there are no other questions, I want to thank everybody today for attending today's webinars on simplifying the disclosure process. If you have any questions, please feel free to either contact me, either phone or email. My email address is Tony, Tony, at ocrealtors.org, or feel free to give me a call anytime at 949-586-6800. My extension is 104. Now, just to let everybody know again, we are recording today's webinar. Everybody will get a copy of today's webinar for your review. So you can watch it a million times to practice your tools. I would definitely recommend practicing this. So the easiest way for you to practice this is that you are going to need two different emails, one associated with zip forms, so you can log into your Glide account as an agent. And then if you're sending out disclosures to a test transaction that you're practicing on, then send it to your fake email address or the dummy email address that you created that nobody else knows about. That way you can see, log out of one and then log in as the other, just to practice and get that flow down. So I think you guys will really enjoy this a lot. I think your clients are going to really appreciate this type of tool. And I think it just helps elevate your professionalism, giving them something like this without feeling overly whelmed. Okay. Well, with that said, I want to thank again everybody for attending. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact me anytime. And I hope that you all have a great and wonderful weekend. And I will talk to you all very, very soon. Bye-bye.